Hello folks, and ready for a very late Wheels of Mercury video for the releases I loved in the autumn of 2023. I know it has been top 10 list season for a lot of you guys in the metal / music sphere of YouTube, but I haven't done that, and I do something a little bit different every mid to late January. I will get to that in a moment's time, but first, let me talk about the releases I loved in the autumn of 2023. It's the time period between September 24th to roughly around October, November time. I forget what my time frame was, but it was releases in between those two time frames. If I could have fit Panopticon's latest album in here, I would. I'm probably going to talk about it in my Golden Wheel Awards video, because it's one of the best albums of the year. So stay tuned for me to talk about the new Panopticon record in that video. With that out of the way, let's just jump into this, starting off with Legendry with their album Time, Immortal, Wept. This band, for those of you who do not know, is from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and they play a style of retro heavy metal, more like Manila Road, Uriah Heep, Jethro Tull, Blue Oyster Cult, all those good bands from the 70s, with a bit of Celtic Frost with some ooh in there, you know. And it's a very good album. It's very indebted to Sword and Sorcery fantasy, stuff like Elric of Melambone. I have a copy. It's the book that's holding up the camera right now. Anyway, if you want the perfect heavy metal soundtrack to the Ralph Bakshi film Fire and Ice, if you've ever seen Fire and Ice, I want to see it. I haven't seen it yet. But if you ever want the perfect heavy metal soundtrack to it, this album is awesome. So yeah, Legendry, Time, Immortal, Wept, a great album. Next, we're going with some blackened death metal from Germany with Sulphur, Aeon, 7 Crowns, and 7 Seals. If you guys like H.P. Lovecraft, this is the band for you. It's basically if Behemoth was obsessed with Lovecraft. That's basically it. It's a very well constructed album with a very dark and foreboding atmosphere. The only issue is that there's one track I remember that had these weird sort of, I don't want to call it auto-tune, because that's not the right word. It's weird sort of processed, clean vocals that kind of threw me off for one song. I forget what song it was, but it kind of threw me off. I'll probably have the song name below me, just so I can sort of remember. But yeah, Sulphur Aeon is a great black and death metal album. If you like stuff like Behemoth and Septic Flesh, go and check this out. Next up is Primordial, their album How It Ends. Now this band's from Ireland. This was the first metal band I ever heard of from Ireland, way back when I was first getting into metal as a young teenager. And I really liked this record. It's overly long. Their magnum opus back in 2007, The Nameless Dead, also had that same sort of issue. So yeah, I really like Alan Averill's heroic, clean vocals. It brings such a different vibe to the music than the typical black metal shrieks and death metal roars. He still does some black metal shrieking in there. He doesn't do it that often, so when he does it, it hits harder. Primordial, How It Ends is a great record. It's overly long, but a great record. Moonlight Sorcery Horned Lord of the Thorned Castle. Now I've known about Moonlight Sorcery since the 2021 or 2022 EP, I forgot when it was released. It had a sort of like, at the Heart of Winter sort of cover. That one was great. And while this one is sort of like, I don't know, it got sort of a more polished production. So it's not as good as the IT production on the debut EP. But I would still recommend you guys check it out if you like blackened power metal, sort of like Children of Bodom, but with less stupid lyrics. Because we all knew Outlier loved his party lyrics, am I right? Yeah, Moonlight Sorcery, Horned Lord of the Thorned Castle. Get into it! Speaking of bands that have like a sort of a power metal influence, the Cyprus-based band Receiver with their album Whispers of the Lord. Now this band I got wind of thanks to Maddie over at Beaver Marsh. Shout out to her again. You're doing awesome. This is female-fronted metal band, and they play like the sort of Running Wild inspired metal, and with some Iron Maiden-isms in there, and they're really good. I forget the vocalist's name, but she's really good. And yeah, if you like stuff like, I don't know, like Iron Maiden, Running Wild, Smolder, and like stuff like that, check out Receiver's debut album. It's awesome. Now, it's time for some metalcore. And I'm not talking about the Kill Switch Engage and LA Dying kind. I'm talking about the more hardcore infused variant. Like, sort of like Converge and stuff like that. With the album The Sin of Human Frailty by the metalcore supergroup End. This thing is insane. It is crushing. Whenever I go back to the gym again, I will add this onto my playlist. It is so brutal, it's so crushing. The breakdown just hits so hard. If you love some old school metalcore, check this out. Next up is a split from two bands. Dream Unending, a Death Doom group featuring members of Tomb Mold, and Worm, a black and funeral doom metal group comprised of one guy, and their split album Starpath. Now the Dream Unending side is sort of like if Pink Floyd did Death Doom. It's pretty cool. Like you got this like heavy parts, but you also got like these calm sort of ambient parts too. And then for Worm, you got like blackened, like almost like Dimmu Borgir meets like, what was the Death Doom band from the Netherlands? That one Death Doom band from the Netherlands that Martin Van Drunen is in. What was their name? Ashbringer. It starts with an A. I'm gonna go with Ashbringer. I think I'm wrong, but anyway, it's like Dimmu Borgir meets Ashbringer. It's really, really well done. If you love black metal, and if you love funeral doom and death doom and stuff like that, and doom metal in general, you should check this split album out. Next up is the new full-length album by Autopsy entitled Ashes, Organs, Blood, and Crypt. This is a great album by a long-running death metal band. If you're a death metal fan, what can you say about Chris Reifert that have not already been said already by thousands of death metal fans around the world? Like the guy just exudes like horror movie camp, and his drumming is fantastic. The fact that he does vocals while drumming is mind-blowing. Plus, the new bassist, he got some insane bass lines in some songs. I was really surprised by how great the bass was, considering they haven't really had a top-tier bassist since they had Steve DiGiorgio back in 1989 for their debut record. which I'm not a fan of, but that's beside the point. And I also like how Autopsy keep the death and the doom side like separate but in the same song. So it's like you get like a Black Sabbath inspired part, and then you get, you know, a Cannibal Corpse / Early Death inspired part, which is understandable because Chris Weifert did drum on Scream Bloody Gore. And, you know, it goes back and forth, and I like that. I don't like it when Death Doom is like blended together. It makes it kind of boring to me. So I like it when it's kept apart, but like in the same song, if that makes sense. Yeah, so if you like, you know, classic death metal, check this new Autopsy album out. Next up is going to piss off the black metal elitists, but I don't care. The new album from Myrkur, entitled Spine. Now, this Danish project, which is the brainchild of one Amalie Brun, it's inspired by black metal, like early to late 90s over, but it also brings in dream pop. It also brings in ethereal wave and other genres. So I wouldn't call it a black metal record. To compare it to another band in like a different sense, she's sort of like to atmospheric black metal what Sleep Token is to gent metal / alternative metal. Both of those projects use little bits and parts of the metal genres that they employ, but it's not the full scope of their sound. For goodness sake, this new Myrkur album ends with a folk song, so it's very diverse. It's also very short, which is great for me because I have a pretty bad attention span sometimes. So to wrap the album up in like 37 minutes is good for me. So yeah, and it is one of the best choruses of the year I've ever heard. I've been having that chorus stuck in my head. It's the burning sky, and the chorus is just so lovely. So yeah, if you want an album that's like inspired by black metal, but it's not like truly black metal, you know what I mean? Check this new Myrkur record out. Next up is the new album from Columbus, Ohio hard rock band Beartooth. Now, I said hard rock and not metalcore because this album is much more of a hard rock / heavy pop punk record. I am so proud of Caleb Jomo coming out the other end and having positive lyrics this time around. I don't get some of the criticisms of this record. I think it's really good, and I really like the collaboration he did with pop country artist Hardy called The Better Me. I really like that song. Yeah, Beartooth, the Surface album. Better than some fans give it credit for. If you're an open-minded person like me, and you don't mind some pop punk, I grew up on pop punk, but if you don't mind some pop punk mixed with some heavier elements, give it a whirl. I think you'll be surprised. Alright, the next album, we go in a raw black gaze direction. Because the next album is We Came Here to Grieve, the new album by the, I think, Minnesotan band Ashbringer. Now this band started off originally as a one-man project, but this is their third album as a full band, I think. And this album is sort of like if Jeff Heaven or Damien Anton or Yetta's band Sadness was like inspired by Midwestern emo, like American football. So it's basically that, and it got noise elements too. It's a very emotional and very raw album. If you want that Death Heaven sound, but like filtered through a raw production, and if you also like American football, but you wish it was more black metal inspired, check this new Ashbringer album out. It's really good. Next up is a band I've actually seen live back in October, and that is Wolves in the Throne Room with their newest EP, The Crypt of Ancestral Knowledge. Not with the in it. Why did I say that? Anyway, this is good. This is good, solid atmospheric black metal made by people who are good people. Alright? And the first two tracks are atmospheric black metal, and the last two are ambient / kind of industrial neo-folk track. It's a very good EP and a very good sampling of what Wolves in the Throne Room does best. So, check it out. Next up is 2 albums from the anti-fascist black metal group Exulansis, and both of them came out on the same day. This band I actually talked about way back in my quarantine video back in 2020 when I covered their album with the raven on the cover. I forgot what it was called, but anyways, their metal album that got released this year, Overtures of Uprising, is really good. It got like doom elements and a use of cello in it that is really quite something. And black metal, it's just really well done, and it's fairly short, I think, at 32 minutes or something like that. The next Exulansis album that got released on the same day as Overtures of Uprising is their neo-folk album, Hymns of Collapse. And I've actually been listening to this more than Overtures of Uprising. I am so thankful that finally, after a long time has passed, that somebody, Exulansis being that somebody, has raised up the torch of doing neo-folk, but actually doing it with awesome politics that is not full of, you know, like all the phobias and all the isms in there, if you get what I mean. These songs are a hope for a better world and, you know, commenting on the state of the world and the state of society right now. And it's really awesome to have a neo-folk album done by great people. Check this new Exulansis neo-folk album out, and I think you'll be surprised. If you like Agalak's White EP and you wish, you know, the thing with John not being a good person wasn't true, check out this Exulansis record. Now, we're going to Italy right now with the new album from Italian band Mortuary Drape called Black Mirror. This band is highly underrated. If I were to give them a sort of a description, I would say kind of Merciful Fate, but with like black metal vocals and like an overall heavy metal inspired riff sort of thing going on there. It's got a really creepy sort of Italian horror movie feel to its atmosphere. And yeah, if you like bands like Negative Plane, which I really loved their album last year, holy crap. Master's Hammer, if you like bands like that, you should check out the new Mortuary Drape album. And another band that plays in that style from Slovakia called Malo Kapitan, with their album Vertumnus Caesar, is also very good. It is based upon a medieval king who was a bit of a hermit. I think it's like Rudolph I or something like that. Anyway, this guy was a bit of a hermit, and the album is all about him. So, but it's in Slovakian, so, I mean, you have to use a translator if you don't speak Slovakian, right? But it is still really good. It's kind of like if you hear like Mortuary Drape or Negative Plane, but all of a sudden, in the later parts of the song, all of a sudden freaking Rush or Jeff O'Toole shows up for like some keyboard ditties, and they even have a song with bongos in it. So that's pretty interesting. So if you want like a historically based black metal album that is inspired by Mortuary Drape and, you know, stuff like Master's Hammer and stuff, but taken in their own sort of progressive way, check out Milo Carpetan's Virtuous Season. The second to last album is also in that weird sort of amorphous heavy metal / first wave black metal inspired, like sort of niche of black metal that I'm really liking these days. The Swiss band Quellgeist with their album Blut, Milch und Tränen. I think I said that right. I'm just gonna move on. These guys have like an atmospheric sort of quality to them, and the guy's vocals kind of sound like Lemmy at times from Motorhead. Yeah, there was a couple times where he was singing and I was like, Lemmy? Is that you? Some great riffs on that record too. So if you like the previous two albums that I talked about, and Master's Hammer, and you know, like Merciful Fate, but you don't like King Diamond's voice, I don't like his voice at all. Check out Quellgeist and their new album. The last album I'm going to get to from the autumn of 2023 before I get to the one grower and outlier of that season is Helga, Rot and Myth. If you love the Myrkur album, this is another album of that same sort of atmospheric black metal inspired folk and progressive metal sort of mixture. It's very, you know, versatile, and Helga Singer is a very good singer. And so, yeah, I really liked this record. I really enjoyed it. So if you like Myrkur and Oliver and folk music and black metal music, there's even some parts that kind of sound like Leprous a little bit to me. I don't know if that's just my bias coming through, it might be. But if you like all that, check out Wrapped in Myth by Helga. Now the one grower and outlier that I have here that really, really, really stunned me is Ara with their album Triad 3 Nyx, which was originally released back in March. So I have Altars of Madness from all the way from England to thank for me to getting into this album, because holy crap, the melodies are so beautiful and it's so intense, and their screaming, she screams so high that like I almost can't hear her at times. She screams like insanely high, like it's really not, and the atmosphere is insane. Once again, it reminds me of Oliver Bergtop, but like way more beautiful and way more intense. I'm saying right now, I think this is one of the best black metal releases of the year, and it took until like October, November for me to hear it. And I am just stunned away, blown away by this. So if you love like atmospheric black metal, but you want to mix it in with like some like intensity, check this out. It is absolutely stunning. Now, as I said before, I do something different for my best of 2023 thing. Each January, I do a thing called the Golden Wheel Award. This is going to be the third Golden Wheel Award coming out. The last two videos that I did in January for the Golden Wheel Award were way too long. So what I decided to do is that for the nominees, I will post shorts on my channel for the nominees. And the winner of all the categories like Best Black Metal Release, Best Death Metal Release, Best Metalcore/Deathcore Release, Best Non-Metal Release of the Year, Best Metal Release of the Year, and so on and so forth, will be unveiled in my 3rd annual Golden Wheel Awards video in mid to late January. The shorts I will do probably in like late December, New Year's Eve/New Year's Day sort of time, whenever that is. And then I will do the winners in the full Golden Wheel Awards video. So make sure you keep an eye out for that and keep your eyes peeled. And if you want to keep your eyes peeled for that, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Wheels of Mercury today, because I want to thank you guys all for making this year the biggest year of Wheels of Mercury yet. 154 subscribers. Wow! I never thought I could get up to those subscriber counts. Like, it blows me away how much you guys appreciate my content. You know, I really mean it. Thank you so much. Rock on, guys, and I'll see you soon.